Good morning. Can everyone hear me? By the way, at any time you can just unmute yourself and talk. This is not a very formal webinar. It just I decided to do this as a chat, and I have limited it to 10 people, and I'm gonna have 5 people together, then other 5 people later on. And for me, it was just a way so we can start our New Year's in a great way. So I'm so excited that you guys are in. Um, I'm good, Karine. How are you? One of those days we have to meet face to face. Okay, so how we're gonna do that? It's gonna be like a little get together for 20 to 30 minutes every day till the 31st. So it's 5 days. And what we're gonna do is we are gonna be discovering um, in these 5 days as much as we can about ourselves. And I'm going to share why this is important and why I decided to do this and why I wanted to share that. So at any time, you can either type a question or you can just unmute yourself and ask a question. Like I said, this is more of a friendly get together than really a very strict webinar. Um, or workshop if you want to call it. And by the way, I'm going to ask you to do a few exercises like even before we leave today at the end of the webinar. I'm going to give you something to do for tomorrow. And whatever it is that you're going to discover is going to help you start 2018 on the right foot. So let's start. Let me start sharing my screen with whatever I wanted to show you. So now that this is, we are about to start because it's 9:02. I had someone on the phone, but for some reason they dropped. Um, as you can see here, we are ready to start. So I want your undivided attention. And so if you have any distractions around you, even if your cell phone, can you please put it on vibrate? And this way we can actually uh, talk to each other a little bit. So before we go, I had all these questions in my head, and that's what I wanted to share with you because I don't know each one. I know some of you personally, but some I don't. So I had to ask this question, like, are you frustrated and anxious and you don't know what to do? You know you are destined to something that is a lot bigger than where you are, and you want to extend and discover yourself, but you are overwhelmed and you don't know if what you're going to do is right or wrong for you, so you get stuck in your place. You're stuck in a job just because you have the security of a paycheck. And I know a couple of you on the line have their own business. So maybe are you want to expand your business, but you feel stuck because you feel more comfortable in your comfort zone right now and don't know what to do next. Are you scared to start because fear is part of who we are? Because you are afraid to fail or lose what you have, or you're afraid to be embarrassed or ridiculed, or you are just too impatient to succeed and you think you're going to take a shortcut and get from A to Z without going through all the letters of the alphabet. And this is something that most of the people that sell the self growth and self development programs don't tell you. They give you this illusion that you're going to live your dream from today till tomorrow from A to Z without having to go through all the letters of the alphabet. And the truth is that we all know it doesn't happen that way, that we have to go through all the ups and downs of whatever we have so we can get to the. Do you sometimes wonder, is like, how is it that I can go to the next level, either of being clear about what I want or feeling that joy and fulfillment that you want? Is do you even think is whatever I'm going to do, is it good, for a change? Am I destined to do the change or not? Or sometimes we feel that we are kept down with all the obligations that we have to around us, either to our family or to ourselves, or paying the bills or taking care of parents or siblings. And we are pleasing everybody around us and we are sacrificing our own needs and dreams. And I know how that feels because for the longest time I wanted everyone around me to really like me and love me, and it's just like I would do everything and anything that was expected from me, but never something that would make myself happy. I know I sound like a little bit nasal today, just like my allergies are going crazy this morning. And sometimes we hold to whatever we learned how to feel about ourselves or made feel about ourselves since we were kids. So we have all these doubts and fears and worries that is it really that can I really move to the next stage or I can? How do you call how what is your identity? How do you call yourself in your own eyes when no one is around? How does your brain think about you? What do you call yourself? And these are things that we're going to go through whatever we are doing. So if any of these sound like you, I promise you, you are in the right place. So all these questions that I have asked you, I didn't even really have to think about it a lot because I know exactly how you feel. I went through all these questions. I went through all the frustration. I went through all the worries and the doubts and trying to please everybody. Till at the end, I felt like I was just miserable, and I was never happy. I would never had the joy. Like I would put a goal, and if I reach it, I'm like, okay, I'm here. What's next? So I start working for the next one, and I never gave myself a break to just stop and smell the coffee. And of course, I had all these self development programs around me, and I kept buying one after the other, thinking that they actually hold the keys to the kingdom of happiness, like they say. Some of them, believe it or not, I still have them either online or if we remember the DVDs or even books that I never even looked at till now. But throughout the years and throughout working it day after day, I learned that we all, yes, have 24 hours in the day, but we can do so much with it. And it amazes me sometimes the people that I coach when they tell me, I don't have the time to do this. And this is our own life. This is our own bread and butter, especially if we have our own business. So it just puzzles me when someone tells me I don't have the time. And I know it's not difficult. I know it's not our natural instinct to do that, to manage ourselves around the time. But this is a skill that we learn. This is habits that we need to implement, that we need to, if we want to start really a good year in 2018. So I learned to manage myself around time and not manage time around me, and it's a lot of difference. And I also learned that when I first started the first business that I had, I always wanted everything to be perfect. Everything, just perfection was part of it's like my middle name. And then I found out that there is nothing in this world that is perfect. The definition of perfection itself means that there is something that you release first and then you perfect. So perfection is actually part of procrastination, meaning like you have an excuse, you have a reason why you're not doing something because you're still waiting on it to be perfect. But I want to let you know that procrastination is actually rooted in fear. And I learned also that if you don't have a very clear focus of where you're going, you will never get wherever you want. So, like for example, it's like riding a train and not even being clear about what you're going. So it won't really matter where you go. And that's why we need to be very clear on who we are. And I learned also that being in my comfort zone is part of my fears that is keeping me safe. And we're going to be discussing that over the next 5 days. And I learned that miracles happen only when we step out of our comfort zone. And it's important to know, and this is something that I also learned the hard way, that in order for something to work, yes, a lot of people talk about the law of attraction that we have to ask, to believe, and to receive it, and it's true, it happens. But for it to happen, in order for things to work, we need to work it. And one thing that I learned also, if you don't ask, you don't get. You don't know who's around you. You don't know who's in the room with you. And my biggest work pieces came from asking people that I didn't know about something, and that's how a contract was started, or a new job was started, or a coaching gig, or even a speaking gig was created. And one of the things that I also is do the things that scare me, even if it's a little bit at a time, because I never know till I know. And I cannot say something from the get go, I can do it, or I won't do it, or I don't like it, till at least I try it. And I want you to know that we can actually create new habits. And a new habit in our brain takes between 21 to 30 days to become part of our life if we do it every single day at the same time. And we're going to be talking about that and about the triggers and about how to create new habits so we can start 2018 the right way. I learned also that fear will always be here. And when they say someone is fearless, it doesn't mean that they don't have fear, but it means that we actually act despite of the fear. I learned how to make fear my friend. Like, for example, when we get fearful or when fear starts dominating our thoughts, what it does is that it creates all these horrible images of what can go wrong or what can happen or what if everything fails. And what I do now, I actually consider this the window to my future. And what I do, I look at it as like, this is the worst scenario that can happen. So today, let me prepare to make the scenarios better. So it's actually a window to the future that helped me move to the future. So I became, I'm not going to say fearless because every now and then fear is still there. We are all a work in progress. But I made it my friend and I go ahead and I move despite of it and not because it's not there. It's still there. So the main concern that we're going to be considering, this was only an intro, is that I hope that you're here because you know who you are and you know where you want to go, but there is always a gap between where we are and where we want to go, where you see yourself going. So if you're not sure how to bridge that gap, or you are scared to make a shift in your life, or you're not sure what steps to do, you are not alone. And that's what I call the cycle of reinvention. And I hear a lot of people saying, oh, don't reinvent the wheel. And I'm like, no, reinvent the wheel. Because if the wheel was not reinvented from the beginning, who knows? Maybe we wouldn't even have cars to drive today. And this wheel, instead of being rounded, they would be square and go like cluck, 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 cluck on the road. You can never know what will happen. And we don't even know in the future when they're going to reinvent the wheel, what will happen. And that's why we need always to keep reinventing who we are. And that's where I say reinvent yourself to greatness because we all have greatness inside of us. But sometimes we are in a point A and we want to go to a point B. But the steps of that journey or how to fill that gap is actually what gets into the way between us excelling or fulfilling who we are or get that genius out. Everybody dreams, everybody has ideas, but we see that most of these ideas die on the island of ideas because we don't execute them. So the difference between a dream and a goal is that a goal has a deadline and actually gets executed. Until we start doing what we dream of, we will always just be daydreaming and nothing is going to come to fruition. So let me tell you what I think about the reinvention journey. So we have the origin, and the origin is the old us. Basically, it's step number one. It's like, where are we today? What is going on with us? Who we are on the inside. And this is the step that we're going to be doing in the next 5 days to discover who we are, to discover what beauties, and what treasures we have inside of us, even if we don't realize what they are. So the origin is basically where we are now, take inventory of what we have, do our strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and strengths, because we are a brand, we are a business. Even if we have a job or we have our own business, we are a product. So we need to know what are our strengths, our weaknesses, and what is our foundation. And our foundation basically are our values, our non-negotiables. And we're going to start with that today. Our fears, what do we have inside of us? What strength that will take us from one to two? An origin goes to a destination, and the destination is how do we visualize where we want to be? Where do we want to go? Identify the changes that we need to have in ourselves in order to get to that point. And we're gonna in the 5 days we're gonna discuss the destination kind of, and I'm gonna leave you with a picture of the new you and how you want to get there. But the most important part between one and two is how to fill the gap. How you can have your origin and destination meet in the middle, and how to know how to fill the gap. And this is where most of the people fail. And most of the people fail to go from origin to destination because they don't start the right way. They just think that, okay, let's move, go to destination without being prepared, without having clarity on who they are. And then the last thing that in the journey, it's only a 4 step journey for reinvention. The origin, destination, filling the gap, and then know how you got there. So that goes from the old you to the new you. So first of all, I wanted to ask you this question. Who do you consider, and if you have something to write on, I would love the fact that you write this down because we're gonna come back and discuss all that together. First of all, who are you? And I don't mean your name, I don't mean your gender, I don't mean your age, I don't mean your culture, I don't mean your title, I don't mean all that. But who do you consider yourself to be? I want you in one word to define how others see you or how others define you. Others. And then in one word, I want to know how you define yourself. Just one word. How do you define yourself? And lastly, I want to know what is one quality that you love about you and why. So again, and by the way, I'm gonna have a recording of that. So if you later on you want a recording of that, I'll be more than happy to send it to you. So who are you? Who do you consider yourself to be? And then in one word, how others define you. In one word, how do you define yourself? And what is the one quality you love about you and why? Then the next question I want to ask you is, do you know what is your real passion? And it's okay if you don't. I mean, it's okay if you think that you know and it turned out to be something else. Like throughout my life, my passion kept changing and changing. But it's important to have a clarity about what is it. And through the next 5 days, we're going to have a lot of discussions about what passion and how to find it, even if you don't know what it is. And sometimes it just comes to you, and we're going to have few exercises that will help you have a total clarity about what your passion is. Do you know what your purpose in life is? Meaning, do you know we all have a purpose in life? We all have been created in this world for a certain purpose, to add a certain value in this world. Even if this value is to have been a very good mother or a very good daughter or a very good sister or spouse, or there is a purpose in life, or a teacher, or um, to share kindness or to share generosity. The problem with people is that they think the value that they add in this world has to be huge and has to be something that everybody knows about, and that that can be as far as away from the truth. Our purpose can be a little thing that we add to this world to make it better. And when we all add our little things to make the world better, the world becomes better. It's like holding hands from one person to the other. If we hold hands like all around the globe, we are going to be like all surrounding this whole world together. So it starts by very small steps. Whatever we do to grow doesn't have to be major from day one. The most important part is to start moving forward, one step at a time, actually one baby step at a time. They say really the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step, and it's true. Because if you do not start with that little step, you're never going to be able to finish your journey. And that's why we just need to start, even if we have doubts, even if we have fears, even if we're scared, no matter what it is, just that little step of one foot in front of the other. That's all what we need to do when we wake up. Just one little step to take us forward. Do you know what is your vision? What is your mission in life? And I remember I was doing training for directors in a big agency, and I asked them to write down their vision and mission. And half of them, some of them have been there for like 20 years. And I was so surprised that the vision and mission that they wrote down was the vision and mission of the workplace that they have been working for. So when I asked them, no, what is your personal vision or mission? They didn't know what I was talking about. They said, oh, we never thought about that. So as individuals, as human beings, we need to have a vision and a mission. And again, it does not have to be huge. It does not have to be feeding all the hungry kids in the world. And it can be that. But what is our vision to do that? Maybe just to turn around where we live and see if there are shelters that we can help. I mean, what is it? It doesn't have to be huge. It can start small and keep growing as we develop our vision and mission. And then the last thing I want to ask you is, do you know what are your non-negotiables? And we're going to start with that today. Your non-negotiables are basically, what is it that no matter happens in your life, you're going to keep preserving these values? Like if you believe in something that, like, like kindness, for example, and no matter how much pressured you are, you're still gonna act with kindness. This is what I mean. Non-negotiables are the values that no matter what happens in your life, like integrity, and your boss is, or because to get a new contract, you have to do something that is not very on the up and up. Would you do that? These are your non-negotiables, and it includes the boundaries that you have with people. And boundaries is a huge thing that help us move forward. And if we don't have them, we get stuck to please everybody around us on the expense of who we are. So the main key to success, to achieve something, lies in all of us. The first important thing that we need to clarify is, why do we need the change? What obviously we are on this call today because we need to change. Why do we feel we need to change? And after we get a why, we need to dig deeper, like 2 or 3 times why, to get to the bottom of our purpose that basically leads us to success and happiness. So again, I want you to think about this. What is your own definition of happiness? And by the way, happiness is not something that is an external process. It's not. Happiness is an internal happiness. There are people that have nothing in this life. They have no material belongings, nothing, and they are very happy inside. We have this illusion in the world that we live is like, I'm happy if I drive this car and I live in this house and I make this much money. But this is all these things come and go. And after that first feeling of euphoria, if you want to call it, I mean, we get this new car and we are so excited about it. And after a week, it's no longer a novelty. It's something that's a routine in our life. So, what is your own definition of success? And the next thing, what is your, I'm sorry, of happiness? The next one is what is your definition of success? We all have different definitions of success. And part of the clarity of your vision and of your purpose in life is knowing what is your own individual specific definition of success. Not what others think what success is, not what your parents think what success is, not what your friends think what success is, not even what your spouse thinks or your significant other what success is. It's what is it that you yourself know as success. And this is what we call the wheel of life. People tell you that we have to have a life work-life balance, but we all know the work-life balance is never a 50-50 process. But it has to be there no matter what. But sometimes we keep working on something and ignore other things in our life. So this wheel of life, it gives you a little bit of idea where you are in your life, and I'll be happy to email it to you. So we have, what do we do about business or career, where we are in our finances, in our health, family and friends, romance, personal growth, fun and recreation. And I'm not saying that everything has to be 100%. So as you can see in each one of them, you have marks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what I would want you to do, I would want you to start marking on these marks from 1 to 10. What level are you at in this particular section of your life? Like if you think you are totally financially secure, put 8 or 10. Health, not that much, maybe 4. Family and friends, you are too busy and you can see them, maybe 4. Romance, maybe 7, 8. Personal growth, depend where is it. Fun and recreation, because you always have to think about that. Put like a little cross or circle or whatever, and then I want you to draw a line between each one of them, and it will show you physically where you are from balancing all this stuff in your life. And it's an eye opener. It's an eye opener because sometimes we keep going on without really stopping and smelling the coffee. And all this, I mean, whatever we're doing today is the beginning introduction to discover who you are in our 5 days challenge. The other, this is an important exercise that I really love to do. So I want you to take a blank sheet of paper and uh, put it in half, like fly it in half, and then in quarters. So now you have like 4 squares, and then do it one more time, fly it one more time. And this way you have like 8 squares in a white paper. Again, pick any page you have, it doesn't matter. I mean, and make sure that you fly it to be like 8 little squares. On one face of that paper, I want you to write 8 things that you always wanted to do. And if you have 6, it's fine, but just some people have 8, some people have less. Write 8 things that you always wanted to do that you never have done. or things that you want to do in life, or things that you thought you're going to be able to do but didn't. And it could be anything. Again, all these things are very personal. Fill it up, and then on the back of that paper, of this square, write the reason why you didn't accomplish these goals or why you didn't do this thing. Again, take a paper, fly it to make 8 squares. So you're gonna half, then quarter, then in eight. And on one face of the paper, you will write 8 things that you always wanted to do that you didn't do. And on the back of it, why is it that you didn't do it? And the last thing before I go back and I take, your questions or whatever is I want you to write down 15 values, 15 values that you appreciate in life. 15 values. So that's your homework. I believe that we are the creators of our destiny, that no one else can dance our dance. No one else can sing our song. No one else can write our story. So it begins today. That being said, I now want to know if you have any questions.